This is Voice for Mount Pleasant Podcast, Best of Edition, bringing you the best of 2021. More than 67,600 votes were cast. You will meet the businesses and services that were voted the best of 2021 by the readers of Mount Pleasant Magazine. Stay tuned for inspiring stories from the winners themselves.
Hi, I'm Mandy Willis. We're here for another edition of the Best of Mount Pleasant Podcast. We're so excited to have Cindy Williams from Simply Seniors of Charleston, who won the Best Senior Advocate and one of the best in in-home health care. So why don't you tell us a little about Simply Seniors of Charleston and what led you to helping others and their families, Cindy?
I have had two grandmothers and a mother-in-law that have had Alzheimer's. And so I've had it in my own family since 1996. And when I moved to Charleston, I wanted to do something where I felt like I was making a difference. I decided to go out on my own and to try to structure a company that would be able to help a range of seniors who needed help.
Tell us a little bit more about your team and what makes Simply Seniors stand out from the rest.
We are really a small boutique company. I'm a nationally certified dementia practitioner as well as a geriatric care management firm. And so we have a couple of different care managers who work with us. And then we also have an administrator, and then we have several dementia specialists that work with us. We don't just do dementia, and our business is really more about looking at a family and looking at a situation and going in and really putting together a really good long-term plan. A lot of folks don't understand what they don't understand, or they don't know what they don't know. And when it comes to the senior living industry and the senior care industry, you know, I hate to refer to it as an industry, but that's really what it is. And so I'll have families that'll call me and they're just at their wits' end because they don't know what to do. And so it's a very complex situation. So say, for example, you know, you have, your grandmother and she goes into the hospital and she breaks her hip. And now everybody's like, oh my gosh, grandma can't go home. Even after rehab, she's not going to be able to go home. What do we do? With Simply Seniors, I go in and do an assessment and I look at what are their care needs? What are their family needs? What's that family dynamics look like? And what do their financial resources look like? We have so many times when we get calls and it's from families who are, 5 years down the road or even a year down the road, and they put mom or dad in this beautiful memory care facility. And, it's costing $7,000 a month. And what they didn't factor in is that mom or dad's going to live for another 3 or 4 years, and now they're out of money. And so we really, care is always going to be number one, but you always have to use, a good common sense approach and, an educated estimate on, what does this look like long term, and how do we help this family to make the best care choices, but also the best financial choices. And so we help with everything from placement into communities, in-home care, and then we do that really important care management piece that keeps us in the loop with what's going on with that person, and then that family has a direct go-to when it comes to any issues that arise. And with all the things that are going on with COVID, it's really important that those families have a direct contact that knows what's going on.
I know the joy that you get from helping others. So what's your probably most rewarding story since you've been in business? And how did you say how long you've been in business?
In March, it'll be 4 years. So I opened the business by myself in March of 2017. I hired my first employee in July of 2018, and now we're up to about 7 people. There was one family that this is kind of a funny story. I had her years ago, I would say probably 6 months after I opened, I got a call about a lady, and I went over and I met with her daughter first, and because the daughter said, mom's not going to want to talk to you. And I was like, well, okay, that's fine. And so I went in, and the lady had not been out of her house in 3 weeks. And so I was just kind of like, okay. So I kind of just took in the whole situation, and then I kind of in a funny way, just so it was, easier to swallow, I looked at her and I said, so we had two choices. Either I can find you a really nice assisted living to move into, and you can move out of this really beautiful home, or I can get physical therapy and occupational therapy in here, and you can help work with them to get your mobility back up so that you can stay in the home. And she looked at me and she said, can you tell me my options one more time? So I did. And so she said, well, I want to stay in my house. And I said, well, okay, let's make that happen. But I gave her some tough love and said, I want you to stay in this house. This is a cool place. You've lived here for 60 years. Why would you ever want to move? And so, we worked through it. She got better. And, we were with her for about 3 years, and she was able to stay in her home all the way up until the very end.
How has COVID changed your business? One
of the biggest issues is that families really don't feel like they know what's going on. And so our families, our clients, we update them a couple times a week usually. And so we will actually, bridge that gap between the facility and the family to make sure everybody stays on the same page. And I'm sure, as COVID has made everything harder, but, the need for oversight in the communities, the care facilities, it's still there, and it's probably more so now than it was. All of the communities are struggling with staffing. They're struggling with, people getting sick with COVID. I mean, it's a whole nother ball game. And, when it comes to when we're going in to see those folks and our folks that are in the house, the other thing is, when we're coming in, we're building a relationship with these people. We're not you don't get a different person every week.
Right.
We really work hard to build those relationships so that we know, like when I go in to see somebody, I know when there's a change because I saw them last week and the week before.
Right.
And of course, COVID, we did have some limits with COVID, and that did affect us, but we were still making those contacts, and our business honestly has grown even with COVID. Facilities are overwhelmed, and, they're understaffed. They're really struggling at this point.
Well, thank you so much, Cindy, and we really appreciate it. Wish you all the best in the world.
Thank you, Mandy. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Best of 2021 podcast, brought to you by Mount Pleasant Magazine. To access today's guests and other Best of winners, visit bestofmp.com. For more in-depth articles and best of lists, pick up your copy of Mount Pleasant Magazine at your local Harris Teeter or Publix grocery stores, or read online at readmpm.com. The Best of Mount Pleasant, brought to you by Mount Pleasant Magazine and our readers.